After 4 years constantly on the move sailing around the world, we've now been in Western Sumatra, Indonesia for a year, since the very start of the pandemic. It's a beautiful location, but the beaches were all starting to look the same.
Stunning anchorage followed by stunning anchorage, each one very similar to the last. Our days were rolling into one, Groundhog Day, albeit a very nice Groundhog Day.
That is, until we're invited to visit Scuba via a comment on one of our videos from Marco. Marco offered us a new challenge and an ability to experience our location in a whole new way. If you watched the last video, you'll have seen Matt overcoming a fear of scuba diving that he didn't even know that he had. And so from that experience, we've decided to use the time that we've got here at Scuba to try to become certified divers. And Marco, our dive master, says that by the end of the course, that we'll either be able to buy or rent kit and go diving by ourselves. But that seems a very long way away at the moment. So we thought we'd take you along for the journey and show you what it's like to hopefully becoming certified scuba divers.
If you feel that your throat is dry, you can cough through the regulator. Okay? Your regulator is your best friend, you never remove it.
The first thing we were taught was how to set up the kit ourselves and get into the water. The course is spread out over about 9 dives, 5 in a pool or confined water area to learn new skills, and 4 in true open water to practice those skills for real. We started with learning skills in the safe sandy area next to the dock, filling and clearing our masks of water, removing and recovering our regulators, and how to breathe with a broken free-flowing regulator.
It's not all underwater fun though. We get a full briefing before every dive and then Marco gives us homework.
The PADI course includes an online section and we've got lessons to do between dives, and there's a multiple choice test at the end of each section. It actually takes a considerable amount of time, so we'd better get on with it.
During each confined water dive, Marco runs us through a series of challenges, such as removing our BCDs underwater, navigating by compass, improving our buoyancy control, which is a bit like underwater yoga, and how to deal with an emergency situation like one of us running out of air.
Learning the skills in the confined water dives has really made us feel much more confident under the water. Marco pushes us to expand our boundaries. One of the things you have to do is swim underwater without your mask on, just in case you lose your mask or it gets kicked off by somebody when you're diving. And I really don't like opening my eyes under the water. I find it stings a bit, and so he pushed me to do that, and I found that I could actually see enough to avoid the big coral heads that we were swimming around under the water. So yeah, it really improves confidence and pushes us a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just finding that the time in the water is also brilliant at improving our confidence and our skills. The first time that we tried scuba diving, I found that I was bumping into everything. I felt so clumsy, and just the additional time that we've had with the extra challenges has meant that now I feel like I'm actually in control of my buoyancy and where I'm going. So yeah, feeling ready Ready for the next challenge?
Yeah, so now Marco says that we're ready to try our first true open water dive. The first time we've been out in a boat and dived from a boat as well. A short boat trip takes us a few miles out to a neighbouring island.
The plan is to dive from the boat and descend straight down to the top of the reef. Once we're comfortable, we'll swim along the reef and dive further down a coral wall, where we hope to find huge coral fans.
Every dive teaches us something new. This is our first time diving from a boat, and it will be our deepest dive yet, as the bottom of the coral wall is 28 metres down. We'll only be at that depth for a short time, and we have to keep an eye on the dive computer to ensure we don't go past the no decompression limit.
These sea fans are mostly found in areas where there is a good flow of water or current, as they act as natural living nets, trapping plankton and algae, which is eaten by the coral polyps housed in its skeleton. They can be purple, pink, red, yellow, orange, or even white, and get their colours from the algae that lives in the flesh of each coral polyp.
This is a nudibranch, which is basically an underwater slug. Finally, we understand why divers get so excited about them. Beautiful.
As spectacular as this dive was, we were still there to learn, and Marco was sure to keep us on our toes with unexpected exercises. He waited until Matt was engrossed in filming before he signalled for me to simulate an out-of-air exercise and buddy breathe. So Matt got a surprise when I tapped him on the shoulder and signalled for air.
The final treat was this green turtle, allowing us to hang out with her while she took a rest on the reef.
My only regret on this dive is that I didn't know more hand signals. I didn't just feel okay, but I felt as on top of the world as it's possible to feel at the bottom of the sea. It was an incredible first open water dive. We know we still have a lot to learn, but this has given us a huge motivation to experience more, and we're absolutely brimming with excitement to explore the underwater world further.
We continued the course with more confined water skills sessions and another stunning open water dive. Between admiring the reef, clearing our ears, monitoring our dive depth, time and air supply, plus the extra challenges from Marco, we would often be reminded of our newbie status when multitasking became more challenging. Good job you clicked the GoPro on there, eh, Amy? Marco was happy with our progress to this point, so he stepped up the challenge with the next dive.
Matt had overcome his fear in the discovering scuba dives of the previous video, but now it was my turn to face my own. My biggest fear at the moment is murky water, and it's got worse ever since we saw those saltwater crocodiles in the islands of Tello a few months back. But now I find that whenever I'm swimming in murky water, I find myself overthinking the monsters of the deep so much that I just don't enjoy being in the water. And even snorkeling in the clear water here off the dock, the other day I came up to the surface and I saw this crocodile shape on the surface about 30 meters away from me, and I just totally panicked and I got out of the water as quickly as I could to find that it was just a crocodile shaped log. So Marco has chosen this next dive to challenge us. It's in really poor visibility, but I think for me it's going to be potentially a step too far.
To get to this dive site, we need to take a boat trip across the bay to where we're going to dive on a World War II shipwreck.
The wreck is located in a murky, mangrove-filled river entrance, so in my mind that is perfect crocodile territory. I should add that alongside my feelings about monsters in murky waters, I also dislike shipwrecks, as I find them creepy. This is really not shaping up to be a fun dive for me.
Marco is taking us to this site intentionally to improve our diving skills. So this dive is a little bit different to our other ones. Now we're a little bit more experienced. We're going to do a dive on a wreck, but it's in some water which could be very murky, so a really fine silty bottom near a river entrance. And you love murky water, don't you, Amy?
Yeah, a little bit scared.
You follow me down and you follow my bubbles if I am going faster than you can.
The visibility is so poor on this dive that Marco needed to use a GPS position on the surface and then descend rapidly to make sure that we actually found the 73-metre long wreck on the bottom. My heart was in my mouth, and it was a struggle for me to relax enough to breathe out and make the descent into the murky depths. It's an eerie feeling watching a shipwreck appear from the gloom, 20 metres below the surface. The bottom here is covered in a thick layer of extremely fine mud, which Marco had warned us to be very careful not to disturb, as it would reduce the visibility to zero.
The Bologan Nederland was a 73-metre long transport ship, anchored here in Manda Bay in 1942 to hide from the Japanese invasion. However, she was found and sunk by Japanese bombs. Thankfully, the crew were able to abandon ship before she sank. Now she sits at the bottom of Manda Bay and hosts a variety of sponges, worms, sea squirts, clams and a multitude of fish.
Marco's assured me that he's been here for 15 years and been on thousands of dives and never seen a crocodile here.
The top sections of the wreck could be seen fairly clearly, with the railings, life raft davits, storage hold and other sections of the ship easily recognisable. Marco led us lower down the wreck. The deeper we went, the worse the visibility became, as Marco almost disappeared into the murk.
It got to the point where we could barely see our hands in front of our faces. Our torches were not just there to help us see details on the wreck, but also as a safety device to help us stick together in the gloom.
I'm really surprised at how much I enjoyed that wreck dive. It was a struggle at first to make myself breathe out and make the descent, but once I reached the bottom, I was really enjoying myself. And I guess that's like most things in life, it's the anticipation and the first few minutes that are the worst, and once you actually get started on something, it's often not as bad as you think. So I'm really happy that we did that, and I'm also feeling really glad that we're here and we've got such a variety of dive sites available to us that will hopefully improve our skills, because just diving in clear water and not pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zone probably wouldn't improve our skills as much as the challenges that we've been given here. So Marco's got apparently another challenge up his sleeve for the next dive, but before we can do that we need to pass our exam.
The exam is an online multiple choice test of 50 questions covering everything that we've learned on the course so far. No pressure. Well, actually there is quite a bit of pressure because we're pretty competitive, so if one of us outscores the other one, it's going to be trouble.
Join us next time to find out the test results and see what Marco has up his sleeve as a final challenge for us.
We want to say a huge thank you to everyone who supports us to make these videos possible, and especially to our star patrons.